Live from the studio of his parents' basement, the Have You Seen It podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight. Sitting across me is the one and only Cash Krause. But before we begin, if you guys could please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. So with that said, Cash, what are we reviewing today?
Thank God. Thank God we are reviewing something good.
Yes.
We are reviewing, this is kind of big.
It is. It's a big deal.
We're kind of just randomly doing it, but we are reviewing the 1974, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, directed by Tobe Hooper, of course, horror icon.
And you would say random, but it was also planned in the expectations and hope.
Fortunately, it came out as something bad.
Yeah.
But hopefully, it'll be something good.
We actually are reviewing the original because Netflix dropped a couple days ago the brand new Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
The direct sequel to the original.
Yes.
Kinda?
Kind of?
Not at all?
Lazily, terribly. Yeah. One of the worst films I've ever watched in history. But this will be a fun review because this film is an iconic film for one.
Super iconic.
Withstands the test of time and is still scary to this very
One of the OG slashers came before Halloween. Yeah, yep. It's still extremely scary today, horrifying, and still one of my favorites. And Leatherface, of course, is one of the most iconic film icons
and horror icons for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's awesome that we're finally getting to do it. I do love this movie. I've seen this movie a lot. I've seen all of the sequels, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I don't know where my life led me down that road.
I think I've probably seen like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah.
Because I remember all the early 2000 ones. I've watched all of those.
Yeah, only one is done. Only 2 of them are done by Tobe Hooper. Is this first one and the second one. The second one is more of a dark comedy. It leans a lot more on the funny. It's good. I actually like it. It's really fun. Not scary, but really fun.
There was one. I know I have not seen The Next Generation, which was made in the 90s, I believe. But I haven't seen that one.
That's the one with Matthew McConaughey, which is so...
No, I've seen the one with Matthew McConaughey. So then...
And Renee Zellweger. That That's The Next Generation. That's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation.
Was there one made in the 80s before that?
That's the second one.
I have not seen the second one.
So
then.
Yeah, you probably haven't seen the second one. It's good. It's got a character. It's got a crazy character in it named Chop Top. It's way more wacky. Yeah. Dennis Hopper plays the sheriff, and at one point they have a chainsaw duel.
Oh, that's fun.
That's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper, he's this. So in the second one, I don't want to get too much in tangent, but the second one, the sheriff is the uncle. Dennis Hopper is the uncle of the original gal, Sally. Oh. So he comes with vengeance. At one point, he comes into the Sawyer house, and he's wearing 3 chainsaws. He's got 2. He's got one on his back. He's got 2, holstered, and he's, ultra Texan.
Yeah.
He's super fucking Texan. He wears, a huge, giant 10-gallon hat, and it's a lot of fun. Okay. I would definitely recommend going back and watching it. It's got some hilarious characters in it, but...
Oh, and they have some of the original cast, too.
Yeah, the main guy, W.B. Sawyer. Yeah. He's in the other one. He's in, actually, he might be in more of them, but yeah, the original one is not funny. It's dirty, it's gritty, it's made on a fucking shoestring budget, and that only adds to the fucking horror of this film.
And let's talk about the budget, because it's absolutely phenomenal what they were able to do with this film in 1974 with $80,000 to $140,000. That's it.
Well, mostly probably everyone has heard that this film was a horror to shoot as well. Yeah. It was in a heat wave during Texas. The actors and actresses were going literally crazy. Gunnar Hansen, who plays Leatherface, said some of the scenes were pretty real with him getting angry and him wanting to attack people because they were filming in that house. 110 degrees, average day was 100 degrees, much hotter in the house.
And no AC or anything like that.
They had rotten food in the house, rotten animal corpses, because they couldn't, obviously, props are expensive. It's a lot cheaper to get real animals.
It's disgusting.
And the guy who plays Grandpa, he said he's a younger guy, because clearly a ton of prosthetics on that guy, but he said once he got the makeup on, he said, I won't do it again, film all my scenes right now.
Today.
36-hour shoot day.
Oh my God.
Took 5 hours just for him, and so they had to shoot all of his scenes in one day. 36-hour day.
Gotta say, they did a pretty good job with that, knowing the time constraints.
Everything is amazing, and that's what a new film needs. Is they need whatever the new film comes in, chop the budget in half. Because all of them have had this newer, much more expensive look, and that's not. What's good about this one is it feels like it could be real.
Absolutely.
Because it's filmed so shoddily that it's filmed like it could be, real, and it's played off like it's supposed to be real.
Well, and it resonated with people across the world, or more specifically across the United States, with a shoestring budget of $80,000 to $140,000. Turn around the box office cash in 1974 and made $30.9 million.
Yeah, it's still today one of the most successful independent films, without a doubt. But yeah, just super iconic. And like I said, the way it was shot, because it was shot so on the cheap, that shot kind of shitty, the filmmaking, there's lens flares going on and whatnot. It's not shot on a studio, clearly. It's shot in a house.
Yes.
But that adds to the fear.
It does.
It's got a great screen crawl at the start. This in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Maybe the only successful screen crawl.
But hey, it worked.
Hilarious, man. It's shot in 1974. Imagine shooting an indie film now. Now imagine shooting in 1974. No regulation. There's nothing going on here.
No. Well, they had real animal carcasses in the house. That should tell you all you need to know.
The guy who did the narration at the start, he did that narration for a joint, for one joint of marijuana.
Well worth it.
In 1974, that's all you got.
That's all you needed.
But I mean, that's how cheap this film was. Yeah. And that guy did a great job. I love his voice.
Yeah.
And I love, there's so much, I will just gloss over everything, but I love this film so much. I love the horrifying score. It's not really a score. It's not real music. There's no music made because they couldn't afford. But that screech you get. And that screech that they use in the new one so much. That's the only thing they kept from the original, is that screech. Yeah. But I love that screech when it's like it shows something horrible, and then it shows like a flash of like a camera, and it goes, and it does that screech for everything, like the opening of the string of grave robberies, and then it shows like someone's been robbing graves, and it shows the corpses are set up, and the corpses, though, their flesh is melting
in the hot sun. Yeah, that's
disgusting. That's what I want.
Disgusting and horrifying.
That's what I want. That is what it's supposed to be,
and that's something
that's the theme.
To really understand how little of a budget this was and how well the prosthetics looked, like all the decaying flesh, like even when they're in the house, right?
Yeah.
And you see the decaying flesh and hands and bones and the flesh, like just nasty looking, like brownish.
Oh, yeah.
It looked really good, man. Like,
and I was so impressed. I mean, I've seen this movie a lot. I haven't watched it in a few years, but I'm so impressed by the continuity of like, the guy in the wheelchair falls down the hill, and he's got scrapes and cuts on his arm throughout the entire thing. Probably because they really pushed him down that hill.
They probably did. Again, actors' rights not as big in the 70s.
Definitely.
SAG-AFTRA not as prevalent.
I know. If you were shooting in Hollywood, maybe, but not.
Maybe, but not.
They were out in Texas. I mean, we're literally in Texas, out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Which, again, it just, all this stuff adds to the themes and everything. The layers of this movie. It all works out. It's the perfect combination of things. It needed to be on a shoestring budget to succeed.
And it was such a simple premise, and they pulled it off so effectively. That's what's so impressive about this too. And that's something that constantly, and I'm not going to keep referencing it, okay? But
yes, you are.
I will. But that's the problem that I have with films today. Especially when you look at franchises like Jurassic Park goes to Jurassic World, and then they always try to up the stakes to an unbelievable, astronomically stupid level.
Yeah.
When it's like, just keep it simple and just make a new story with maybe one or two little twists that you don't see coming.
Yeah,
but
because
you don't have to make it 55, 60, get the kill count so high, but there's no story, no continuity. There is a story here. You actually feel for the characters.
And you spend a lot of time with these characters.
Yes.
You grow with them, so you definitely do care about them. And they're well written because they feel like real fucking people.
Yep.
They don't feel like actors or just body bags or lumps of flesh that are just there just to get chopped in half. They're well written. I like all of these characters. And none of these characters are just abysmal and like you just want them to die, which is what's for some reason slasher films after the first original film, any slasher sequels set out to be like, we got to make it so people hate these people
so they want them to die.
Yeah, but why?
Why? I don't get it.
If you want the film powerful, you want to care for these people.
Correct.
You know? They're more than just thrill rides. Yeah. It needs to be something a little deeper. And this film does a great job of that.
It does.
They establish these characters pretty early on. And like you said, you don't need to overcomplicate. The things people were scared of in 1974, people are still scared of today. Everyone has a fear of breaking down out in the middle of nowhere. Everyone has a fear of crazy cannibal hillbillies.
Yeah.
That never stops being scary.
No, it doesn't.
Cell phones didn't change that for me.
Right. You don't have to up the stakes anymore. That's terrifying enough for me.
Watching American Idol did not make me fearless of these deranged family members.
If that terrible singer can go on national TV and sing that I can do anything.
It's like, yeah, exactly what you said. It's like, we got to up it.
Yeah.
Gotta up it. We got it. No, you don't, man.
No, you don't.
I am just as scared as I was. I guarantee people in 1974 are just as scared as they were in 2022 about being chased by a giant chainsaw-wielding maniac wearing another people's...
Severely mentally ill, wearing someone else's face. I think that's enough.
And these people, these Sawyers is what the family is called.
Yes, the Sawyers.
Are so fucking terrifying. All they know is death.
Yep.
That's the only thing that their life revolves around. Like, literally. I mean, I say literally a lot, but this is literally. Their entire house is decked out in bones and carcasses and flesh.
And the reveal at the end of this film, and it's 1974, so we're getting into spoilers, whatever, right away. But that's what I appreciate so much about a film like this. Obviously, we deal from the perspective of Sally, Franklin, Jerry, Kirk, and Pam. But towards the end of the film, when Sally is with them, you really understand, how this family works.
Yeah.
And you realize that the grandpa was actually the first serial killer, and he was the best at it, and it was passed down generationally through this family. There's context there.
Well, and there's context. It even goes deeper. At one point, they were all working at a slaughterhouse, and then the slaughterhouse went automated, and then they all lost their jobs, and then they all started slaughtering people for
they got
food.
bitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
they got bitter,
food.
and they needed everything. Yeah, exactly. Because this is... They live out in Texas, in the middle of fucking nowhere. They starve, they die, you know. So, but yeah, it's all these things have reasons of being in this world. They're not just there and they're not even there to attack people. The whole family went there. I mean, on accident. Yeah. They stumbled into this very unlucky situation.
Super unlucky.
But they live. I mean, and that's what I love about this film too, is because it just feels so random. You know, it doesn't feel like a movie where everything was written to be there. It feels random. They like the first guy who gets killed, literally stumbles into it. I love that too. Him tripping onto the board and him just stumbling right up, and that's a good way to get our first look at Leatherface.
And then what I love about that scene is he takes the metal door and he slams it shut.
Well, but
that leaves you for
that hit though.
Yeah, the hit was heavy.
The hit was heavy, and then because they all preference the stuff between when they picked up the hitchhiker, and he talks about how the first hit doesn't always kill you because he hits him, and then the realness and rawness of him convulsing after getting in the head. Yeah. That's what happens when you get in the head.
Of course.
They dropped all that shit after this one. They said once you got hit, you're done. You're down.
You're dead. Well, even, I'm just going to bring it up. The 2022 one, when she's in the car and he stabs her and cuts her, she's instantly dead.
Dead,
And I'm like, what? No fight, no nothing. Like, literally, as soon as the knife goes in, she goes, oh.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? That's not how people die. It's stupid.
And in
this one, convulsing, the body shaking. And like, when you watch hunting videos, when you shoot a deer, it doesn't just fall and die. Like body is
you know anything
convulsing.
about brain damage. Yeah. I mean, you usually don't. Yeah.
It's so crazy. But this one does a really good job of that, too.
Yeah,
it's
and
very realistic.
very ahead of its time, too, to show that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
The crazy thing about this is Tobe Hooper didn't want to show a lot of blood because he was trying to get a PG rating, because no PG-13. So he was trying to get a PG. So that was the whole reason. But I mean, today,
concept, though, come on. Bro, this guy's literally peeling people's faces off and putting it on him. It can't be PG.
But him thinking, if I don't show blood, I'll be okay. But that's how it kind of was.
Well, and that's how it was with Jaws, too, which was made in I believe, the same year, or really close in the 70s. But Jaws is PG.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Pretty gory. Pretty bloody. Pretty wild.
Which you think, how could this be PG? But then you see Jaws, you're like, children are being ate.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how do you not give this?
But it's just funny because it's just funny because there's no PG-13, so it's like either the film was a hard R, which was you had to be pretty hard in that, or it was just for kids. Like,
just go for broke, and thank God that's what he did.
But yeah, he was aiming for a PG rating for sure. But yeah, I love all the kills though are just drawn out. Yep. None of them are easy.
No,
it takes time for sure. But
well, and I love the sense of dread that you have as an audience member too. Because like after the first kill, you're like if you've never seen the film before, and you remember this is 1974, this probably shocked a lot of people.
Yeah, and that opening crawl saying it was a true story. I mean, I remember my aunt in the early mid 2000s telling me this was a true story, believing it.
People told me that too. I believe the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a real thing.
But they believed it.
Yeah, because they told me that.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like
that was a powerful film.
It was super powerful.
Yeah, that's what people believe though. People believe The Exorcist was a real fucking thing, and that we were all in danger of being
demonically
demonized,
possessed.
Yeah. But yeah, man, go back and it'd be so cool to go back and watch this for the first time, and be in the 70s too, and be like, we gotta do something about this family.
Yeah, and just look around at the theater of the dread and
because that screen crawl
faces.
too, and then they go through kind of the footage and the whole thing of the newsreel, and if you can listen in through the news through the entire time. At first it's like they're talking about the grave robberies right at the start.
Yep.
But then the characters start talking, but the radio's still going, and they're talking about explosions and all this crazy shit that's going on. So it's a crazy true story.
It really is. Still a true story to this very day.
Very true.
But yeah, I love the sense of dread too, because after that first kill, you really understand what the film is. You understand what it's about for the people who've never seen it. And then
and the anger behind Leatherface with that door slam. He is pissed. And most likely because Gunnar Hansen is pissed. In being in a nasty ass rubber mask in 120-degree weather.
I'd probably be mad.
He's pretty upset.
But honestly, I love that. I love the way Leatherface was introduced in this, because like as soon as that happened and how you could see how strong the brute strength of him just slamming that door, and I was like, oh shit, okay. There it is.
And I love the design of this house too. It's like they made it like half slaughterhouse, half farmhouse, but they added that metal door in there, and they have like a whole killing room.
Yeah.
It's great design.
It is.
The house is one huge element of this film.
Absolutely.
And it's like, for them in the new one to not even go back to the house or even reference the house is such a wasted opportunity.
I know, dude.
That house is like, the house in this is like a character in itself. Mm-hmm. It has so much history about like these Sawyer families were probably at one point very successful, lost everything and turned into monsters,
cannibals.
Yeah, and they're barely hanging on to any kind of fucking humanity, but just wasted, man. I love this film.
So wasted. But the second kill, but what I love is like, throughout this entire film, after you see that first kill, you are terrified for every individual because you know the inevitability of their demise, right? So like the girl, and he's grabbing her, and she's just flailing around like,
well, it's
screaming.
It's the meme of like every girl just wants to be hugged from behind. It's him. And she's I love that meme.
Yeah,
like every girl just wants to be hugged from behind, and she's just fighting
it. But
on the hook.
Well, and then he put it on the hook. Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant in the 70s.
You can't do a callback to the hook.
Don't get it.
I mean, not even putting, but just showing like him throwing meat on or something. Like that's at least the early 2000 one. Probably did too much fan service.
Oh, it did a ton of fan service. Yeah. I remember that little room that he had, like in the basement. He was chopping people up like that. Those were pretty gory films.
But that's all this film needs, I think, for a reboot. Is like, I was almost watching like, man, you could almost do this shot for shot.
Yep. And
just add, because clearly they just didn't have the money to do things they wanted to do.
Yep. And still pulled off a miraculous film.
Because they barely show the hook thing. All they do is show him putting on it. They never show the hook go in or anything.
No, of course not.
But it's still horrifying.
Of course.
She's up there on the fucking.
Yes.
It's horrifying. You're right.
It is. It really is. And like, you know, and that's what's so unique and awesome about this film is like every kill is distinctively different. And yes, it is the Chainsaw Massacre, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but not every single kill had to do with the chainsaw. The chainsaw was the big reveal.
Comes in
at the
later.
end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's when it's like the fear is completely heightened and your senses are on like high alert.
And again, that's what they're doing wrong with these other ones. Is they're
Yeah.
not leading up to the chainsaw.
No, it's just
a
literally
unique weapon. It's his weapon.
Yep.
No one else can use that. It again is a character in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not, it's used as a tool, but it needs to be looked at as a character.
He
He gravitates to this chainsaw for a reason.
Yeah.
That needs to be played into.
I just think these these producers nowadays just go, oh, people want to see a slasher film.
a money
let's just
grab.
make
That's
it.
all it
Yeah.
is money.
It's just money.
Yeah,
It's like you could have.
Well, they don't love the
made,
film. They don't love the movies like
Exactly.
the fans do.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the issue.
'Cause
And
even
then
when-
fans get pissed off after the film is made, and they're like, "What? Why would you even waste the title franchise?
Yeah.
on a
They've
film
done it
that
8 times.
awful?
I know.
Yeah, it's just frustrating. But
Yeah,
the hook scene's great.
Hook
Do
scene's
love that.
great. It's all so fucking horrifying. Her jumping out of the freezer is scary.
Oh my god, bro, that one is wild, dude.
Yeah.
That is a horrific death, and again, these are simple things.
And
that
him
they can
coming
shoot.
back in and
slamming her down. Yeah.
Because again, he's not like, it doesn't seem like he's doing it for pleasure. He's doing it like as a job.
Right,
He's
to like survive. And eat
yeah,
food.
exactly. Yeah, this is hunting for him.
And when you finally do reveal that the gas station guy is working with him, he goes, I just never like to do the killing.
That seems so brutal too, man.
Creepy.
Yeah, when she's in there and she thinks she got away, and she's starting to look around, then she sees the meat fucking getting cooked or whatever, and then she starts realizing that this guy's fucking in on too. It's such a great little twist and great writing, which
This
this franchise
simplistic.
abandoned all writing after this. Yeah,
I know. And that's the thing. The screenplay for this is great on every aspect because like they didn't have anything money wise and they made every little thing work.
it had to. That's the only reason it worked. Because it had to be a good screenplay.
Yeah.
That's the only way it was going to work. Was it had to be a good screenplay, and it was.
It was great.
It ended up working out, but yeah. I mean, it's again. I just think that you got it all starts with the script. Of course, we say that all the time, but it all starts with the script. Yeah. But that's not. A lot of these sequels feel like the script came after they started filming. Like we know we want kills.
Yeah.
And then the characters will come after that. We'll develop them that way. But it's not the way to do it.
The worst way to go.
Yeah, because I mean, by the time once this movie let's not say this movie doesn't. It maybe spends 20 minutes on character development. It's not a ton.
No.
It just does enough.
Well, it's only an 80-minute film.
Yeah, it just does enough to where you know something about these characters, where you care about them. Because once this film starts, it doesn't stop.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, there's a lull when she goes to the gas station scene.
Yeah.
But that's picked right up again when he starts torturing her, like in the bag, and he's like beating her on the way. I love the part too when he's hitting her with the broom and he's just fucking with her. And she's like, oh, stop it. Because at that point, she's so fucking gone.
Oh, yeah, and traumatized.
Everyone has died.
Yeah.
And
I loved real quick. I love that Sally scene with Franklin, her brother, who's in the wheelchair, and that's what I love too.
You were just hoping he was gonna get. I mean, at this point, he was dragging them around.
Right. And that's also another awesome scene because like as an audience, you're like, no, Franklin, don't go. Yeah. You want your audience to say things like that, especially in a slasher like this.
Yeah.
You're like, no, don't go. And like you knew it was gonna come. He's in a wheelchair. This is not good. And then it's just
and you felt Franklin's fear for sure, especially that scene and they didn't need to show the scene, but it added to when she's about to leave because she wants to go look for him, and he's just like he's trying to hold on the flashlight, he's trying to do anything to keep her steady.
panicking.
Yeah, exactly, and you feel that fucking panic.
Well, and then he's like honking the horn. She's like, stop.
oh yeah, and then he's just like, I'll go with you, just to get wheeled right into a chainsaw.
And boy, did he get cut up. Yeah. Oh, poor Franklin. Never stood a fucking chance.
No, but like, that's the thing is you just wanted his death to be quick and over because you knew it was going to come. You don't want to be You don't want to find yourself in a slasher film and be stuck with no working legs. It's bad. It's so bad. Because most of the time, people with 2 working legs can't get away.
Can't get away. Let alone being in a wheelchair, it's not going to go well for you.
Yeah. Speaking of that, of like not being able to get away, when she's running through those woods, you can tell he is like Leatherface. He's like having to do things to like slow down because he's catching up to her. Because I heard always that he was always just way faster than them, Gunnar, even because he wears lifts. Even he's a big guy, but he wears lifts in the films. So I heard when that whole forest scene is like you can see him in the background trying to like chop like leaves.
Yes.
He has to do it because he's catching up to them.
But you know what? There was something about that manic behavior that was even more terrifying.
Exactly. Because it
actually worked.
He's not just a one-dimensional killing machine.
Yeah.
He is, and Gunnar Hansen said he plays him like a mentally handicapped. But he doesn't play it offensively at all.
No, of course not. Well, and then those scenes where he's kowtowing to the gas station guy, and he's hitting him over the head, and you can see that relationship just in those split moments where it's like, oh, okay, there's something distinctively wrong with this individual.
And the crazy thing about this movie is the disability community has come out since then and being like, that is a good performance. Yeah. Like they've come out, I mean, that's pretty rare, especially in horror films where they don't do it offensively so.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
But like, I mean, and I guess what they told him, which was so awesome, which would never happen and didn't, was Toby Hooper told Gunnar Hansen pretty much develop this character however you want. Like, and a lot of the mannerisms are him, you know, a lot of what he wears and what he does. Like you said, with the communication where like he almost tries to talk, but he's just clearly he never learned communication. So it's like he's attempting to talk to how he thinks you're supposed to talk. Yeah. But
when he would even like hand gesture to places and stuff, and it was actually like
he's
a really
like a big
good
child, a big death-wielding child.
Honestly, that's what I thought, like a big baby.
Yeah, who doesn't know any concept of life or death yet. But
when you could tell that too, like even like petting like the skeletons, and remember that little thing that he put over, and you're like,
so
what
good.
the
I know
hell?
it's so good. Yeah. The grandpa scene is fucking horrifying when the hammers and it lasts so long, and you can tell. I could just tell these actors are miserable.
Oh, of course.
Because at one point they're screaming, and it's not acting.
No. She's like, please, I need this film to get over.
Because she is screaming top of her lungs, and that scene is just, it's hard to watch. It almost dives into torture porn before torture porn was a thing.
Yeah.
You know, that slow ass, him not being able to hold on
to the hammer.
Just lasts entirely too long.
You know what else was like, it actually worked. And I don't know
it
if
works so good.
Well, you know, the hammer scene definitely did. Yeah. But this one little scene, and I don't know why, but it worked for me. When the hitchhiker, which I think that's his name in the film too. Like, I don't think he has a name, but whatever. He cuts her finger, and they go, let Grandpa have some fun.
He sucks
on it.
Yeah.
There was something eerie because, like, I didn't even know Grandpa was alive. Because remember, they went up there
the build
earlier.
up. Yes. It shows Grandma.
Yeah, Grandma. And
she's not alive.
She's not doing well. But, you know, he was just spending time with her.
The summer heat got to her.
It might have melted off her face.
I did a little bit. They probably dug her up, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, duh. They definitely did. I guarantee they did.
They did for sure, yeah. But yeah, I love the build up to the grandpa too, like you were saying. But that scene definitely works because this gross, demented man who's like, even is he alive? Is he not alive?
That was the thing. He's like vampiric.
He's like 120 years old. Yeah. He's like older than time itself. But the only thing that gets this guy going is the thought of death again. Yeah, gets him his heart pumping again.
It was just barely.
But yeah, loved it. Loved the old man. Like you said, just the element of knowing all these guys are so miserable shooting this. Because it doesn't work for every genre of film. But it works for horror. So these people are miserable in the film. Yeah. It wouldn't work for a rom-com of these people.
Absolutely
so
not.
Fucking
sweating
pissed.
And just so dehydrated, fatigued.
But it works. You know, you don't like to see it. You know, because these people are human beings.
Right, of course.
But you kind of like to see it because it makes a better product.
It does make a better film. Yeah. Another thing that they did really well for the budget was, and yes, you could tell a little bit, but that's fine. For how shoestring budget this was, it looked really good. And that was when the brother got hit by the semi.
Yeah.
That actually looked really good.
Well, we can talk. The unsung hero is the semi-truck driver, who I think dies, unfortunately. He runs away from the...
He ran. I said, dude, get back in your semi. That's what I kept saying. Just drive away.
I always thought a good idea was, because you always have to have some connection for the sequel to bring him back, was you don't do any connection with Sally, but you do connection with the semi-truck driver. Like, he's got a family.
Oh.
And like and then like, because they don't know nothing about it, but they just know. And then like the sequel can be the opening of Leatherface running down the semi-truck driver and killing him, and then completely abandon the Sally aspect and just go that way. And then you can start something completely new, because this guy, his family he was just a tow truck driver. So this guy would have disappeared out in the middle of Texas. So they would have had to wander around looking for this house or whatever and stumbled upon it. That's the way you got to do it.
Should have been the way they did it.
Don't.
Unfortunately, they did not.
But this poor guy abandons the truck, and you can tell they couldn't damage that truck too much.
No, because like the little zzz,
Yeah, because he doesn't go tires or window or anything. He just does where you could buff out.
Yeah, you can buff it out or even replace it.
Repaint it, yeah. That semi-truck would have probably been about half the budget of this film.
Probably, yeah.
You know, semi-truck, I mean, that's
Expensive.
But yeah, I love the ending is so fucking iconic. And
yeah, just him manically swing the chainsaw around.
And
It's
obviously
perfect.
not filmed at all. Just having him, I'm sure, being like last scene of the movie, and him just kind of really going crazy and mad a bit. But yeah, so famous, that scene of him just dancing around. So iconic too, and a cool scene.
It is.
With her driving away.
And with the sun going down, and yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, the only callback of the new one, 2022 one, was that the sound clip of the screeching.
And then that
and the
at
car.
the end. Yeah.
That the one thing that they did not need to put in again.
I don't want to ever talk about it again after this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
But
awful.
if you haven't seen the 1974 though, it is
You have to watch it.
this
It's one of the best horror films.
this and the first Halloween are still in my mind just two of the best slasher films of all time, man. They're the first.
I got to be honest, after rewatching this and knowing the budget of this too, like you're totally right. For me, Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween are just two of some of the most impressive performances and displays of what you can do with a low budget.
Yeah, those films were so ahead of its time, and that's what a new one needs to be. It needs to be a Blumhouse film because those are always low budget, 15 to 20 million.
Yeah.
I mean, they're usually pretty kind of expensive,
Yeah.
but that's what it needs, man. Because it needs that grittiness, that dirtiness, that off the grid kind of feeling of a movie. It doesn't need to be felt like it's shot in a studio.
No.
Which is a lot of what these feel like.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
But yeah, would definitely recommend. It's so awesome.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. If you haven't seen it now, you got to go see it.
It's still so cool. Every time I watch it, I kind of get pumped up again about it. Just such a
Well,
cool concept.
I was actually excited when you were like, yeah, let's do the original too. I was like, okay, yeah, hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
like,
for
it
sure.
actually is a great film, and it's fun to watch, and it's fun to revisit every couple of years.
Any excuse to rewatch this film, yeah, I'm down for. But
All righty.
alrighty then.
Well,
That's it.
do you have anything else?
No, I love it.
All right. Yeah, of course.
I'd
Go
recommend
see
it.
If you guys like what you've seen here, please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notifications. We drop videos here every single day. Thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Krause, and until next time.
Bye.